Hello friends, today our topic is gingival enlargement. And gingival enlargement means increase in size of gingiva, and it is the most common feature of gingival disease. So how we classify the gingival enlargement? First is inflammatory enlargement, which is further divided into acute and chronic. Second is drug induced enlargement. Third is enlargement associated with systemic disease, in which first is conditioned enlargement, under which is pregnancy, puberty, vitamin C deficiency, plasma cell gingivitis, and pyogenic granuloma. And under systemic diseases, leukemia or granulomatous diseases. Next is neoplastic enlargement, under which are benign tumors and malignant tumors. Last is false enlargement. Next is classification according to location and distribution, under which under location localized and generalized, and under distribution is marginal, papillary, diffuse or discrete. Next is how we score the degree of gingival enlargement. So grade 0 means there is no sign of gingival enlargement. Grade 1 means enlargement confined to interdental papilla. Grade 2 means enlargement involves papilla and marginal gingiva. And grade 3 means enlargement covers 3/4 or more of the crown. First is inflammatory enlargement. It results from chronic or acute inflammatory changes and usually are the secondary complication to any of the other type of enlargement, creating a combined gingival enlargement. First is chronic inflammatory enlargement. The main cause of this type of enlargement is prolonged exposure to the dental plaque associated with poor oral hygiene, which is the main causative agent. Other factors are abnormal relationship of the adjacent teeth, lack of tooth function, cervical cavities, overhanging margins of dental restoration, food impaction, improperly contoured dental restorations, irritation from clasp or saddle areas of removable prosthesis, or orthodontic treatment therapy involving repositioning of teeth. Clinically, it appears as slight ballooning of the interdental papilla, and marginal gingiva produces a life preserver. It can be localized or generalized and progress slowly and painlessly. Lesions can undergo spontaneous reduction in size followed by exacerbation and continued enlargement, and there may be painful ulceration fold between the mass and adjacent gingiva. Next is gingival changes associated with mouth breathing. In this, gingiva appears red and edematous with diffuse surface shining. The most common region is maxillary anterior region. Harmful effect is generally irritation from surface dehydration. Next is acute inflammatory gingival enlargement. First, gingival abscess. Gingival abscess is a localized collection of pus involving marginal gingiva or interdental papilla. It is sudden in onset and painful condition due to associated inflammation, and this abscess occurs due to the penetration of bacteria into the deep gingival tissues associated with aggressive injury to gingiva with foreign substance, for example, toothbrush bristle, a piece of apple core, or a lobster shell fragment. It appears as a red swelling with a smooth shiny surface which later becomes fluctuant and pointed with the surface orifice from which a purulent exudate may be expressed. The adjacent teeth are often sensitive to the percussion, and if it permit to progress, the lesion generally ruptures spontaneously. Next is drug-induced gingival enlargement. This kind of enlargement occurs in prolonged therapy with anticonvulsants, immunosuppressants, and hypertensive drugs. In anticonvulsants like phenytoin, phenobarbital, sodium valproate, and primidone. And hypertensive drugs which are associated with enlargement are nifedipine, nicardipine, bepiridil, etc. Clinical features of drug-induced enlargement are: it starts as a painless bed-like enlargement of the interdental papilla and extends to the facial and lingual gingival margins. In early stages, the growth is firm and non-tender. The marginal and papillary enlargements sometimes completely cover the crown of teeth and interfere with the tooth eruption and alignment. The lesion is mulberry shaped, firm in consistency, pale pink in color, and resilient with non-tendency to bleed. It is common and more severe in maxillary and mandibular anterior regions. And this kind of enlargement is usually chronic in nature and slowly increases in size. Next is idiopathic gingival fibromatosis. It is a rare hereditary condition characterized by hereditary gingival hyperplasia, congenital familial fibromatosis, and elephantiasis. The condition is usually idiopathic and inherited as either autosomal recessive or autosomal dominant form. The autosomal dominant forms of gingival fibromatosis are usually non-syndromic and have genetically linked to the chromosome 2p21. Clinical features involves overgrowth of gingival margin, interdental papilla, and attached gingiva of the facial and lingual surfaces of the mandibular and maxilla. The gingival overgrowth is usually in the form of large mass of firm, dense, resilient, insensitive fibrous tissue expanding over the alveolar ridges and the teeth. Color is usually normal but turns erythematous on inflammation. It commonly presents at the time of eruption of permanent dentition but can develop with the eruption of primary dentition. If the enlargement is present before tooth eruption, dense fibrous tissue may then interfere with or prevent the eruption. Secondary inflammation changes are common at the gingival margin. Bulbous enlargement of the gingiva leads to distortion of jaw, and patient complains of functional and aesthetic problems. Next is enlargements associated with systemic diseases. Systemic diseases and conditions can affect periodontium by magnification of an existing inflammation initiated by dental plaque or manifestation of the systemic disease independently of the inflammatory status of the gingiva. There are certain systemic conditions in the patient which aggravates the gingival response to the dental plaque. These are called the conditioned enlargements. Although bacterial plaque is the primary etiological vector for the initiation of this type of enlargement, but is not the sole determinant of the nature of the enlargement. The various conditioned enlargement are pregnancy, puberty, vitamin C deficiency, or any kind of an allergy. First is enlargement in pregnancy. Enlargement during the pregnancy is due to the hormonal changes that induce changes in the vascular permeability and increase in Provotella intermedia. This results in gingival edema and an increased inflammatory response to the dental plaque. The enlargement during the pregnancy can be marginal or be generalized, or may occur as single or multiple tumor-like masses. In this, gingiva is bright red or magenta, soft, friable, and has smooth, shiny surface, and bleeding occurs spontaneously or on slight provocation. During pregnancy, it can appear like tumor-like gingival enlargement. In this enlargement, gingival overgrowth commonly develops after third month of pregnancy. It appears as dark red or magenta with smooth, glistening surface that often exhibits numerous deep red pinpoint markings. The lesions appear as soft, friable, discrete, mushroom-like, flattened, spherical mass that protrudes from the gingival margin or more commonly from the interproximal surface and is attached by a sessile or pedunculated base. Next is enlargement in puberty. Enlargement during puberty occurs in both male and female adolescents and appears in the area of plaque accumulation. It is characterized by prominent bulbous interproximal papilla. Gingival enlargement during puberty has all the clinical features generally associated with chronic inflammatory gingival disease. It is the degree of enlargement and the tendency to develop massive recurrence in the presence of relatively scanty plaque deposits that distinguish pubertal gingival enlargement from uncomplicated chronic inflammatory gingival enlargement. Next is enlargement due to vitamin C deficiency. It is essentially a conditioned response to bacterial plaque. Acute vitamin C deficiency as such does not cause gingival inflammation itself, but it does cause collagen degradation, hemorrhage, and edema of the gingival connective tissue. These changes modify the response of the gingiva to plaque. Clinical feature shows Enlargement of marginal gingiva in the form of bluish red, soft and friable with smooth shiny surface. There is spontaneous bleeding or bleeding on slight provocation. There may be surface necrosis with pseudomembrane formation. Next is plasma cell gingivitis. It is also called as atypical gingivitis and plasma cell gingivostomatitis. Plasma cell granuloma is a localized lesion and is present in the oral aspects of the attached gingiva and therefore differs from the plaque-induced gingivitis. The plasma cell gingivitis is suspected as an allergic in nature due to presence of components of chewing gum, dentifrices or various diet components. There is mild marginal enlargement that extends to the attached gingiva. The gingiva appears red, friable and sometimes granular, which bleeds easily. Next is non-specific conditioned enlargement, pyogenic granuloma. It is also called as Crocker's and Hartzell's disease. Pyogenic granuloma is a tumor-like overgrowth of the gingival tissue that occurs due to exaggerated conditions respond to minor trauma. It appears as discrete spherical tumor-like mass with a pedunculated attachment. It is reddish or bluish, sometimes lobulated and may be sessile or exudated. It may develop rapidly and the size varies considerably. Bleeding from the ulcerated lesion is common but typically it is not painful. Teeth may become separated due to the interdental growth of the lesion. Due to its red color, which may sometimes turn to a cyanotic hue, pyogenic granuloma may be mistaken for a giant cell granuloma. Next is enlargement due to leukemia. Gingival enlargement in leukemia is diffuse or marginal or can be localized or generalized. The diffuse gingival enlargement is associated with overgrowth of the gingival mucosa with an oversized extension of the marginal gingiva or a discrete tumor-like interproximal mass. The affected gingiva is mostly bluish red in color with a shiny surface. It is moderately firm with a tendency towards friable. Hemorrhage occurs either spontaneously or on slight irritation. Patients with leukemia may also have a simple chronic inflammation without the involvement of leukemic cells and may present with the same clinical and microscopic features seen in the patients with the disease or without the disease. Next is granulomatous disease, under which is Wegener's granulomatosis. It is a rare disease characterized by acute granulomatous necrotizing lesions of the respiratory tract, including nasal and oral defects. Renal lesions develop and acute necrotizing vasculitis affects the blood vessels. The initial manifestations of Wegener's granulomatosis may involve the orofacial region and include oral mucosal ulceration, gingival enlargement, abnormal tooth mobility, exfoliation of teeth, and delayed healing response. The cause of this condition is unknown, but the condition is considered as an immunologically mediated tissue injury. It is reddish purple and bleeds easily on stimulation. Next is sarcoidosis. It is a granulomatous disease which starts in individuals in their 20s or 30s and affects predominantly blacks. Gingival enlargement may be red, smooth, and painless. It consists of discrete non-caseating whorls of epithelioid cells and multinucleated foreign body type giant cells with peripheral mononuclear cells. And the cause of this condition is unknown. Next is benign tumors of gingiva, under which is gingival fibroma. It usually originates from the gingival connective tissue or from the periodontal ligament. Clinically, they are slow-growing spherical tumors. Consistency of fibroma is either firm or nodular or soft and vascular. Fibromas are usually pedunculated. Next is papilloma. Papillomas are benign proliferations of surface epithelium due to infection with human papilloma virus. They are mainly seen in the 3rd to 5th decade. Clinically, gingival papillomas appear as reddish, normal or whitish grey color, solitary, wart-like or cauliflower-like protuberances. They may be small or discrete or broad, hard elevations with minute irregular surfaces. Next is gingival cysts. These cysts are of developmental origin. They occur in the mandibular, canine, and premolar areas, most often on the lingual surface. They appear as localized enlargements that may involve the marginal and attached gingiva. They are painless, but with expansion, they may cause erosion of the surface of the alveolar bone. The cysts develop from the odontogenic epithelium or from surface or circular epithelium traumatically implanted in the area. Next is squamous cell carcinoma. It is well-known malignant tumor of the gingiva. It may be exophytic, presenting as an irregular overgrowth, or ulcerative, which appears as flat erosive lesion. It is often symptom-free, often going unnoticed until complicated by inflammatory changes that may mask the neoplasm but cause pain and loosening of the teeth. It is locally invasive, involving the underlying bone and periodontal ligament of adjoining teeth and adjacent mucosa. Metastasis is usually confined to the region above the clavicle. However, more extensive involvement may include the lung, liver, or bone. Next is malignant melanoma. It usually occurs in the hard palate and maxillary gingiva of the older patients. It usually appears as darkly pigmented, which is preceded by the occurrence of localized pigmentation. It may appear as flat or nodular growth. It is characterized by rapid growth and early metastasis. It originates from the melinoblasts in the gingiva, cheek, and palate. Infiltration into the underlying bone and a metastasis to cervical and axillary lymph nodes are common. Next is false enlargements. First is underlying osseous lesions. Enlargement of the bone subjected to the gingival area occurs in tori, agostosis, fibrous dysplasia, cherubism, central giant cell granuloma, ameloblastoma, osteoma, and osteosarcoma. The gingival tissue appears either normal or with discrete inflammatory changes. Next is underlying dental tissues. Developmental gingival enlargement in the form of abnormal gingival growth is noticed during the different stages of tooth eruption. During the eruption of primary dentition, the labial gingiva exhibits a bulbous marginal distortion due to overlapping of the bulk of the gingiva on the normal prominence of the enamel in the gingival half of the crown. It is termed as developmental enlargement and continues until the junction epithelium has migrated from the enamel to the CJ. Next is the treatment of gingival enlargement. The treatment of enlargement is based on the understanding of cause and underlying pathogenic changes. Gingival enlargements are of special concern to the patient and the dentist because it poses plaque control problem, it affects mastication, it may alter tooth eruption, it interferes with speech, and it affects aesthetics also. Next is the causes of recurrence of gingival enlargement. Recurrence after treatment may be because of the systemic or hereditary conditions. Recurrence of chronic inflammatory enlargement immediately after treatment indicates that all irritants have not been removed properly. If the enlargement recurs after healing is incomplete and normal contour is attained, inadequate plaque control by the patient is the most common cause. Recurrence during the healing period is manifested as red bed-like granulomatous masses that bleed on slight provocation. This is proliferative vascular inflammatory response to the local irritation. So this is the end of our today's topic, gingival enlargement. Thank you.